So I'm gonna log in into my test system here. Okay, so we're gonna go over some of the questions that I have here on about the CTR transactions. Okay, there's multiple questions. I know everybody's been asking a lot about how much the application is. The application is free for all casinos to use without registration. So when you register the application, you'll just see your company name will just appear here up in the left corner here and on the report. So it is free. You don't need to register it at all. If you need help or your IT department needs help on how to set up the application, it's very simple to set up. We can help you with that. Just send us an email or give us a call, and we can help your IT department set that up, or we can just set that up for your department as well. I'm gonna go down the list here. The first question is how do you sort and filter CTR transactions? So if you attended the first training on the CTR section, we covered that throughout that training. So you can find that training on the website, or you can remote into one of the test stations. We have two test stations right now, so you can remote in and you can go over the trainings. All the video trainings should be listed on the test stations, and also the application that you can play with and test out as well. But to sort sort and filter CTR transactions, I'm gonna go into the people section here. So on your dashboard here, you have these tabs here. There's the CTR transactions, the SARs, and the meals and people, and a bunch of other tabs here. Okay. For the CTR transaction, I'm going to open up the people section here, and I'm going to click on view all here. Okay, and I'm going to go to the transactions. Okay, so there's a few ways you can do it. On the inside the people profiles, under the tab transactions, you'll see all the transactions that apply to this particular customer here. So if you navigate down here, you'll see all the transactions. Okay, and it'll show you at the bottom down here you have 1 of 11 down here. Okay, so if I click on see data view here, okay, if I click on that, that opens the data sheet view for this customer here. Okay, so a lot of people like to sort it this way, and this is fine as well. When you see the datasheet view, it looks very similar to an Excel sheet. So I'm going to open up Excel here. Okay, let me see here if I have Excel installed on this PC here. I don't think I have it. I'm pretty sure we have Excel here. Let me come back to that in a little bit here. For sorting purposes, if you open up the data view tab, you can see that it shows all the transactions here. Okay, so once you see all the transactions, for example, this default list here, it sorts the date by newest to oldest. Okay, so for example, if I just want it for, let's say, the date 11/10. Okay, so I have 2 of those right here. Okay, so if I just wanted to that, you can click on the arrow up here, and you could uncheck everything and say I just want everything that relates to 11/10. Okay, and it'll just show that. Okay, so you could sort by multiple ways. For example, if I only wanted, let's say, the gaming day. Okay, so this is the gaming date right here column, and you only want it for a particular date. You can use these arrows up here, and then you could check box the one that you want, or select all to see everything, oldest to newest, and then the list will change. Okay, or newest to oldest. Okay, if I only wanted to see all the cash outs per se, so I'll uncheck all of these and leave the cash out, check and click OK. So then you get only all the cash out transactions. If I only want all the cash in, I'll choose cash in, and then I can filter it that way as well. Okay, so if I want everything, select all. Okay, you can do it for for example the code type as well. Okay, if I only want payments, redemptions of casino chips and tokens, then you can choose those as well. And this list here can actually show you some options here. Okay, you can also use the other filter, text filters also, and anything that contains a certain letter, ends with, equals to, and so forth. Okay, so there's many options to use here. Okay, similarly, if you copy this, let me go swing to the left here. If I click on the upper corner here, I select everything. You can use the Control-C on your keyboard, and you can copy all that, and you can take that to Excel. Let me open up my notepad here so I can show you here. Okay, let me just delete that. And you can paste that in your Excel sheet, and then you can use Excel to filter or sort it, and that will be fine as well. Okay. So there's many ways to do it. You can do it with these data sheet view here, and if I click on that, I can open that, or you can go through and manually search through here as well. Okay, now on the CTR cash in cash out, these are just the totals. Okay, that it takes the transactions and it applies it to the totals, such as it breaks into the cash in daily totals and the cash out daily totals. Okay, these are aggregated amounts here. Okay, per gaming day. Okay, let me go to another question here. Okay, there's another question on party type codes, how to change the party type codes. Okay, so for example, if I was to open a transaction here, let me click on this transaction list here. Okay, so this opens up the transaction list. So the party type code is here. Okay, so all the drop down that you see on either it could be inside the CTR transactions, the SARs, the meals, or any other area of the application, you can change these. These were taken from the FinCEN's XML 2.0 schema. These were taken right off of their schema, so that's why it has the code. Your casino in itself, you don't need to use these. You could custom these as it fits your how your internal controls works. I just borrowed these from the schema plan, so I'm gonna close out that. So let's go into the admin side so that we can. I'll leave this open here, this profile here. I'm going to go to the admin section here, type in my password. All the default passwords are 1234. Okay, so for the CTR transaction, I'm going to navigate through here. Let's see, Command 2, and there's different tabs here that you can navigate to, and these which give you the options of the how to change certain things in the applications. Okay, so for example, Command 1 here opens up the very first command here, opens the purchase order section. Okay, and user accounts, you can see all the user accounts here. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the Command 4 tab. Okay, I'm gonna click on CTR here. Okay, so on the CTR here, this is where you would make changes. Okay, so there's other areas of the application where you can make changes to, so I add some letters there, and I'll put 22222 there. Okay, and you can close it. Okay, so if you go here to the CTR file, this is where you will make changes to the CTR file and SARs and SAR filed. Okay, so for the CTR party type options, I will go into the CTR and SAR options. Okay, and I'll click there. Okay, so here you'll see on the left hand side here, you'll see the CTRs, and then on the right hand side you'll see the SARs. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the CTR file cat. So this is where you would change the categories, file method. So these are all the drop downs. Okay, status, okay, CTR location, and CTR party type. Okay, so if I was to add a new party type here, and let's say I'll put in a code here, well, even without a code, I'll put in person, let me see, electronic. Okay, and I'll close out of that, and I'm gonna leave these open here. I'm gonna go back into the people section here. Now you'll see that if let me save and exit this and go back into the people section here. I'll just view all here. Okay, now when I go to transaction, okay, if I start a new transaction by clicking on this arrow here and I choose the party type, you'll see electronics been added to that list. Okay, so any of these drop downs, for example the type code, location, all those can be changed in the admin side here. And go back here. So you have the party type code, you have the transaction table, which you can modify everything there. You have the type code, okay, transaction type code. Okay, and let's say for the party type, if I wanted to remove this, I'll just select that and delete, and it should disappear. Okay, so and then the CTR transaction type, cash in, cash out. Okay, so all the drop down lists you can find it in the admin side, and you can make modifications there. Okay, I'm gonna close out of that. Okay, and let's go back to the people section here. Okay, if I go into my transactions and start a new transaction, okay, and if I choose party type here, see that electronic option is gone now. Okay, all right, let's go to another question here. Status changes. Okay, so how to make the status changes. Okay, so the status changes, I think that question is regarding the cash in, cash out. I think that's this one right here, the status changes. Okay, I think that is regarding this right here. For the CTR filed, when you gather all your the main process is that you gather your transactions. The application tallies your cash in, cash out, and totals it, and then you can your daily your day-to-day compliance officer, who is responsible for filing the CTR, can make that determination on whether or not to file a CTR based on these aggregated amounts here. So when you file a CTR, you start a brand new CTR, a CTR filing, you would include your name, the file date, the amount of, and the cash type. There is cash in, cash out, name of authority, who approved it, and FinCEN don't allow any more mail transmission. You have to submit it through their BSA website, so it's always going to be most likely electronic. Okay, so the status is on the list here. I'm going to scroll to the right a little bit here. Okay, so for example, I already have some that been submitted. Okay, so these right here, if I try to change it from pending to complete, it won't allow me, so these are all locked in. Now it's a little bit different if you go over to the SAR section. Many of the SAR's options, the normal login can actually make changes and update it. Okay, this is the normal login here. Okay, so to make changes to the status files here, you can do it this way here. I'm gonna close out of this. So let's say this customer here is ID number 1 here. Okay, I'm gonna remember that. Okay, I'm gonna go to reports and more, and then you can go to corrections. Okay. In the corrections section, you can make changes. So if I went to the CTRs here, and I want to see all the CTRs here, okay, you can make changes here, okay, and update it here. Okay, if the results came in, you made a submission to FinCEN and they accepted it, you could change the status to complete it, and the CAT file is the this is the initial filing. Okay, and close out, and that should save it. Okay, now remember that in the option to the correction option, that there's a, we'll get to the other question about locking that out as well. Okay, which is the next question actually. Locking changes to transaction. For example, if we wanted to make corrections and we went into the correction section here, and we're able to make corrections to pretty much all the documents here. Okay, so what we do is, if you want to lock that out so that your normal users can't make those modifications, remember one thing: this is the people section, and this is the reports and more, where it contains the correction section. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the admin side and log in here, and we're gonna go to my first command, second command, third and fourth, and I'm gonna look for lock, reports and more. Okay, so when you open that, you'll get this screen here. Okay, this allows you to disable the correction option. Okay, so that option was in the people's correction section, so I'm gonna uncheck that. Okay, I'm gonna exit that. I'm gonna leave this admin section open here. Go back to my dashboard here. Go back to my people section, reports and more. You see, now the reports and more section is locked, which contains the correction module. Okay, so it'll say this option is locked by the administrator. Okay, so click here. Okay, you go to the let's say the SAR section here. Okay, there we go, the CTR section here, SAR, MIL, and people section. Okay, to unlock that, and so that your users can make changes. Now this is the normal login. If you log in on the guest side, which most of the casino employees will do, they don't have that option of the correction option at all. Okay, it has to be done on the normal login side or the admin side. So let me go back here. I'm gonna go back to the lock, report and more, and we'll put a check mark in there to allow them to make changes. Okay, and go back to here, and now they're allowed to access this section here. Okay, and make corrections. Exit out of there. Okay, let's go to the next question here. I have another question here. User asks, changing the menus and drop down options. Yes, we covered that a little bit earlier, to make changes to the, and this is just regarding the CTR section, not regarding any of the other options, although it's very similar. So you log into the admin section and you go into the CTR and SARS option, you'll get the options to make changes to all of the areas and all of the drop down options that will allow you to make changes to the application. Okay, party type, type code, and transaction type. Okay, oh, minimize that. Let me exit out of here. Let me reopen the application here. people section. So let's go to the next question here. Reporting of 10,000. Oh, okay. Reporting of $10,000 or more. Okay. For CTR, currently right now, if I open up a view here, I can show you. Okay, for transactions type, cash in, cash out. Currently, BSA wants greater than $10,000 for is aggregated independently. You have cash in and cash out. It's done separately, so it's more than $10,000. So if they hit a $10,000 mark, it's not required to report that. But anything, these sum totals here, these aggregated totals for the gaming days here, they will tally. If it's $10,000, it won't highlight it in red. Anything that's more than $10,000 then will be highlighted in red here. Okay, so such as you see these smaller amounts here, they won't be highlighted in red, but the anything that's over $10,000. Okay, $10,000 and under is not required by BSA currently at this time to be reported. Go to the next question. Open cash in, cash out to CTR view explanation. Okay, that is in the front here. Okay, that option. If I go to the CTR transaction totals here on the main dashboard, you have two commands down here. One is for cash in and one is for cash out, and this is a comparison view to the CTRs that you filed it with BSA. So if you file, for example, you have the cash in daily totals, then you have the cash out daily totals, and then you have the CTR filed it 90 days lists. Okay, so for CTRs, the normal filing is about 15 days of the transaction date that you're required to file a CTR if it's $10,000 more, over $10,000, I should say. Okay, so you have these gaming day here. Let's look at this cash in section only right now. So you have these amounts here, and then you have these gaming days here, and what you want to know and track is whether you have filed a CTR. If you filed a CTR, you will list it on this side. Okay, so if I use this option here, and this is actually a really helpful option here. Okay, anything that turns green here, you'll see here, I have a gaming day here, and I have an amount here. Okay, and then on these columns here, it lists if you have filed your CTR for those amounts and what type, what category. Is it a initial filing? Is it a amendment or back file? And the status right here. Okay, so if you look at this first transaction here, okay, you have a gaming day here. Okay, you have an amount here, and this amount is highlighted in green. Okay, the file date, filed amount should be exactly the same. We filed for that amount. This is the initial filing, and it's completed. Okay, so that green tells you that that amount's been done already. Okay, likewise, if you look at this transaction here, okay, for 11th the 1st, you have $10,344. It's still highlighted in red, you know, even though we made a filing to BSA. Okay, the reason is that it's still red is because it's still pending. Okay, so when you completed this, okay, this transaction would turn green. Okay, such as the next transaction here. Okay, we have this gaming day here with this amount here, and we filed it on this date on that amount, initial filing, and it's completed. Now always remember that you can have duplicates. Okay, so for example, this amount here, okay, we can have an initial filing, and then if it wasn't accepted by BSA, we can have an amendment. Okay, and we will have to find an amendment for that. Okay, so you can have multiple, but for in this case here, I'm gonna close out of here. So that's what those these options down here. Just look at the cash out option here. Very similarly, it's a comparison of the gaming day and the transactions of that gaming day for that for each individual customers. Okay, so if I click on 9 here, it will show me this customer. Okay, so this transaction for this gaming day here belongs to 2. Okay, so those are that gaming day here. Okay, so you can click on these IDs and it'll take you straight to the individual. So let's do a sample here. Just look at this transaction here. Okay, this $14,000 here. Okay, so that $14,000 cash out here. Okay, for gaming day of 12/18. Okay, so let's say we wanted to make a CTR for that. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go add new CTR. Okay, so I'm gonna file this. I'll move this up a little bit. So I'm gonna file this and file by. I'll put my name in. We'll use today's date. File the amount. We're gonna file amount for that particular $14,700. Cash type is a cash out, and I'll say I approved it. Electronic. So BSA ID. Once you file it, batch number, confirmation. Let me expand this a little bit so I can see the rest of it. Okay. File confirmation number. You can get that from BSA, all these. I'll just put in some numbers here. Okay, so let's say it is accepted with warnings and it is completed. Okay, and this is a initial filing. Okay, close out of that. Okay, so we just added a CTR file. So without exiting and coming back to this, you can use the F5 key on your keyboard to refresh it. So you'll see that I made that file right there. Okay, I filed it a CTR for this gaming day here. Okay, for this customer here. Okay, I'll close out of that. Okay, I'm gonna refresh this here. So remember, this is the item that we just filed a CTR, which should appear here. Okay, I'm gonna refresh that. F5. Okay, let's try that. F5 again. Okay, not seeing it. Let me close out and go back in. 14 file date. Go back and double check that CTR there. 14,000. Oh, I filed it for the wrong date. Let me go back here. Let me go change it here. People, reports and more, corrections. And I'm gonna go to the second person, and I'm gonna go to the CTR, CLCTR. Okay, I'm gonna organize it by file date, new it to oldest. So on this one right here, I filed for the wrong date. The gaming day should be 18. So let's go back here, just make that change to the 18th here. Okay, now I'm gonna close out. Save and exit, exit. Okay, go back to my CTR, cash out, compare, and there it is. Okay, so you'll see that the gaming day is this. I filed it for that gaming day for the $14,700, and it's an initial filing, and it's been completed. Okay, so what these two options down here, the cash in and cash out compare view, it gives you an idea of all the CTRs that you have not filed for, and on the other end, it gives you all the CTRs that you have filed, that you have completed as well. So anything that is in red is over the threshold of $10,000, and you need to file a CTR for that. Okay, and this is a great way to see what you have filed and what you haven't filed. Okay, close out of this here. Let's go to the next question here. There are multiple duplicates and cash out and compare. Oh yes, that actually is here. Okay, so if you're getting multiple amounts, it's because for, let's say, this individual customer here, and you're getting multiple cash in cash out amounts on this list here. It's because you're having more than one filing. So if you have an initial file, if you're filing an amendment for a particular date, then yes, you're gonna have, it's gonna show that for the 18th, and for customer ID number 2, you're gonna have a few of them down there. Okay, the transaction is gonna be there's gonna be duplicates down there. Okay, so just a heads up on that, because there's more than filing. Let's say you did an initial filing, it's completed, but it was rejected by a BSA for errors. Then you need to file an amendment. Okay, and usually just one amendment, but if that amendment is rejected, then you need to file another amendment as well to correct those issues that whatever BSA might want from you. Let's go to the next question here. Report CTR file cache out all total and blanks are not showing correct amount. Okay, we're gonna go to the report and we're gonna look at that one. That is the CTR file cache out all totals. Okay, cache out all total. That's this report here. Okay, and I think I understand what you're saying. Okay, for the CTR file summary reports here, for the cache out, all cache out here, yes, the totals, for example, this gives you an overview of all the individual or customers inside your database system. Okay, so let's look at number 2 here, where there's more multiple transactions here. Okay, so if we look at Joe here, and on gaming day 10/24, there was one transaction. 10/27, another transaction. So it looks like there's just single transactions here. Okay, if you have more than one CTR file, it's very similar. You have to concentrate on that file category, whether it's an initial filing or it is a amendment or a back file. So if you have 2 for the same gaming day, it's going to be listed twice there. Okay, so just always keep that in mind. I know some of the, if you go to the end of the reports here, it gives you the tallies okay, of the blanks, the CTR filed it, people count, and etc. So your summary report will show all of those. So for example, if we look at this report here on the gaming day 10/27/2024, there's one transaction on that day. Okay, and the total amount is $11,999.87, and it's a cash out. Okay, there is no CTR file. We're missing the CTR filing date, file for date, the cat, the filed amount, and results. Okay, so that's called a blank. Okay, that tells the end user that for that gaming day, the amount met the threshold, but you did not file CTR for that, which is required. Okay, so it'll show you that blank. So that is a blank. Okay, if you use some of the other reports, such as like the cache out by date range, or you use the CTR file by ID and date range, which was specified one particular customer only, it gives you a better breakdown of that. But just remember, if you have multiple filing, it will appear under here. So for this transaction here, 10/24, we did an initial filing. If you have an amendment, that amendment will fall under this gaming day as well. And then if you have a a back file, which you missed the deadline, you did a back file, it will also appear under there as well. Okay, I'll close out of that. Okay, let's go to the next question here. So that's the duplicate. Oh, it's very similar. Initial amendments and backfiling. Yes. I'm gonna open here. I'm gonna go to the people section here. Let's go to the view all. I'm gonna view all the now navigate over to the next customer here. So let's look at this customer here. If you need to file additional filing, such as, like, for example, we have this cash out gaming day here, okay, which we filed earlier, okay, the cash out, and it's an initial filing, okay. And if you tab over, you can see some of the other fields here: results, accepted, and completed, and so forth. Okay, so if I want to see all of this, I can click on see all CTRs, and then you can organize however you like. Okay, so our current view here, we have it organized for the gaming date here, file date here. Okay, so if we need to do another, let's say this particular filing wasn't accepted, we need to do another one, we could click add new here, and I'm gonna fill this out. So we'll go put my name in there, file by, and file for date is the gaming date. So I'm gonna file it for this 12/18 here. Okay, so 12/18, and the amount is 14,700. It's a cash out type. Approval, if I need to get that, electronic BSA. I filed it already using the BSA website, so now I can put in my codes here, and I got a accepted, and this is a status completed, and this is a amendment. Okay, close that. You can use the F5 to refresh your list, and there it is. See all. This is the one that I just did as the amendment. Okay, for the same gaming day here. Okay, and if I want to see, close that out here, go back here and cash out options here, you'll see that those transactions are right there. Okay, so this earlier, one of the question was about seeing duplicates for gaming day for customers. So this, we have a customer ID number 2 here. They have for the same gaming day, 12/18. They have 2 amounts. Okay, that was the duplicate question earlier about it. So you can see that one is a initial filing, and the other is an amendment file. Okay, so that was one of the questions there. Okay, so that will be it for today. I know there's a few other quite a few other questions. We'll go over those in another section for the Title 31 application. Again, one of the most questions that been asked is how much is the application? The application is free for all casinos. Okay, to use without registration, so you don't need to register it at all. The only changes it is the full version. The only changes, if you were to choose to register it, if your company name would just appear on the application here, and it will appear on all the reports as well. So that's the only difference between the full registration and the free use of this application here. Other than that, I hope we answer some of the questions here, and you can join us for another training when we can cover some of the other. I think there's about like 10 or 20 other questions. We could cover that in another section as well, and we'll be saving this training on the website as well, so that you can reference back to it if you need to, and use it as a guide as well if you have the same questions also. Other than that, thank you for attending the training, and if you haven't seen the in-depth training for the CTR the SAR or the MIL section